bunch and welcome to my stream. So today we'll be doing something special. And I don't know if you saw my announcement, but yeah, this is the compromise I decided to think about. Like I thought really hard about this. So yeah, I decided to give y'all still the thing that I promised by myself. Like I organized it myself. So I mean, like I hope to do my best, and I hope that whatever I say here will eventually help you for your own series. I decided to make this because, well, I wanted, people in the MCTV community to essentially have an idea of like how to start their writing and whatnot. And this is from literally reviewing from like every single MCRP or MCTV thing that I've seen, and finding like the common three not really issues but three things that people should think about when they write their own MCTV series. So this essentially is like a writing lesson from what I know from years and years of writing MCTVs or MCRPs. So first essentially it's like, Yuki, how do you write After Archives and how do you write HCH? Why is it like this? Like it's so good. Well, invisible person who's curious. I'm going to show you today on how exactly you can get started with that. So hope the gentle music of the Undertale background that eventually drifts off because it is a 15-second clip helps you relax. So sit tight, get your notepads out, and let's start. Yeah, I'm hoping this moves to the right tab. So let's try. So let's do it again. And like 1 and a 2 and a 3. Yeah, it did. Cool. Okay, it did go to the right tab. Cool. Okay, so let's start in all seriousness of what is essentially the triad of storytelling. So let's set some appropriate music for this. Let's find some appropriate music for this. So nothing too sleepy. You know what I mean? Nothing too sleepy. So this is relying on Undertale for that. Please, Undertale, don't fail me now. Don't fail me now, Undertale. Zang. Okay. Yeah, let's go with this one. There's an ad playing in the background. All right, give me a second, fellas. It's still playing the ad. I can't skip it. Don't you just love ads? It's still doing an ad. Finish the ad. There we go. So hopefully the music isn't too distracting. If it eventually does, let me know, guys. So, okay. So here is the triad of storytelling. Now these three are what I use to essentially yeah, ads was great. I hope there's not another ad while the song is playing in the background. That would be terrible. Okay, so anyways, here is the triad of storytelling. I was initially gonna do this on a panel, but here we are. I didn't prepare PowerPoint, but I did prepare Google Docs, so this is the best that I can do. Okay, so let's start with like the basic three. Yeah, so the triad of storytelling is essentially what I use to create stories like HCH or After Archives and Creepypasta. So these are the three things that I usually take note when I'm writing my stuff. So, and I hope that this actually helps people in the MCTV community to create their own stories, because I believe ideas that you have are simply puzzle pieces, right? And it's very important that we know how to place them down and essentially put them together to create this masterpiece that eventually will become your Minecraft roleplay series. So hope that this actually helps. So by the end of this, that this actually helps. So Okay, so let's start with the triad of storytelling. Now, why is it called the triad? Because I believe in terms of like how I do things, that these three aspects are the key ingredients to creating the perfect story. Even it's just the basic ones, right? So here we have the triad of storytelling: the character, or the characters, the plot, and the world building. So these three you always have to include. Now you may be asking, Yuki, which one goes first and which one goes last? Well, let me show you. So, let me just mute my... You can hear my alarm. That is my notifications going haywire and telling me that I am streaming. Yes, I know, I am streaming. Because I'm the one streaming. I don't... This is a weird phone. Anyways. Okay, so... Let's start first. Okay, so which one essentially goes first? Now, I've seen a lot of MCTVs, MCRPs, especially with the smaller case ones, right? Not the big shots, not the medium peeps, but the smaller creators, right? I noticed that occasionally, whenever they want to create some serious storylines that really talk about certain topics, and whatnot, or they want to flesh out their world and whatnot, they lack world building, and sometimes because of it creates like plot holes, essentially because of the fact that the world building hasn't been finished yet. And okay, you might think, Yuki, do we have to finish world building? As a starting writer, and especially in the MCTV community, just in the MCTV community, it's very different when it comes to like writing books and whatnot. In terms of my case, what I learned is that the more of the world that you build, the more fleshed out and consistent your world will be. So I believe in terms of like how I do things, what I usually start is with the world building. So usually when I'm creating a world, I think of everything. It might sound a bit over detailing. It might sound overdoing it, but honestly, in my case, I find it very helpful that I managed to answer everything via the world building, because it really fills in the gaps and prevents plot holes from happening. So, okay, it may not be perfect, because occasionally, once or twice, I will get like a plot hole because I didn't think about it, or that I couldn't see it at the time. So yeah, it's very important that your world building be actually consistent, you know what I mean? Like it's your world building be complete as much as possible, as much as you can, for consistency of your story, so that your story doesn't have like plot holes or people asking questions about like, oh, this is confusing, or isn't this the thing that happened before? Why is it this now? So it doesn't create like those confusing plot lines and whatnot. So I believe that world building should start first. And next, I'd like to think are, in terms of my case, I usually, after the world building, I think of the plot next, because if you put the characters next, it's kind of hard to create a essentially where they fit in, because they are your chess pieces. You know, your characters are your chess pieces. So think of the world building as the checkerboard, the checker pattern on the chessboard, and the characters, the chess pieces. So without plot, right, I guess you wouldn't know exactly how to move the character, right, in your story. You wouldn't know how to exactly to move them. You wouldn't know how to, like, where do they go, you know, like where do your characters go exactly. So I believe that the plot helps to essentially make a guiding line, give them like a trail of breadcrumbs, so that your characters essentially know like where to go or like what to do and whatnot. So there you go. Now I cannot stress this enough that this is only MCTV. This is not for book writing or something like that. I'm not exactly that skilled yet. Even I'm still practicing my writing for books, but this is more so for what I noticed from the MCTV watching MCTV stuff. So yeah, so we have to start first with plot, world building, then plot, then characters. Because once your world building is done, that means consistency. That means your environment is consistent, your storyline remains consistent, which I'd like to think that the world building, and this is what I noticed, the world building affects the plot. Plot affects the characters. So it does a whole triangle, and that is why I call it the Triad of storytelling. So that's where that name comes from, yeah? So I hope that clears it up. So yeah. Next we have, so essentially what is, I did explain already what is world building, but essentially world building is the process of creating a fictional world. Think of yourself as the painter, right? And as the painter, you have a blank canvas in front of you, right? And it is your job as the painter to put art on that canvas. That is your world. That is your whole world. From environment, from atmosphere, from weather, from if it's a fantasy, if it has robots, if it has everything, even if it's a FNAF roleplay. Like it's essentially your world. It is your creation. It is your vision. It is your playground, right? Right. So that's essentially what world building is, right? Now, okay. Now you might be thinking, okay, Yuki, we have the 3 pieces. Now what? Okay. So you might be thinking that's it, right? Like that's possibly it. No. These pieces can only work together if you do something called conceptual planning. Right? Conceptual planning. But Yuki, what's the difference between conceptual planning and ideas? Right? Isn't that the same thing? Like having an idea and having a plan is the same thing? Yes. Not really per se, because as it says here, sorry, an idea is simply a thought in which the writer has just come up with using the what. Conceptual planning is when you have thoroughly thought of the where, when, how, and the why. So let's say I want to create a Minecraft FNAF roleplay. Let's say like that. That is the what. Like that is an idea. Like the what. So I want to make a Minecraft FNAF roleplay, or a Minecraft Yandere roleplay, or a Minecraft school roleplay, or a Minecraft My Street roleplay-esque kind of roleplay, like a slice of life thing. So that's the idea. That's the what. Right now, exactly what are you supposed to do with that, right? So that's why it's just an idea, because it's not really fleshed out. It's just simply, oh cool, I want to do something like this. This is I want to do something this. Okay, cool. Which is fine. However, if I recommend you want to dig deep, you really want to dig deep down when it comes to your storyline. You want to give it more than just the same thing over and over again, because I see that I see that constantly when I'm like scrolling through YouTube, looking at MCRPs. It's a constant, it's the same formula, like constantly, where it's just either a copycat of something, or essentially, oh, it's just a Minecraft FNAF roleplay, Minecraft school roleplay, Minecraft Yandere roleplay, and then there's no reasoning as to why it was made in the first place. So it lacks a little bit of conceptual planning, right? So the conceptual planning, or the planning, is actually the why it was made. Like, why am I making a FNAF roleplay? Right? Where, when, and how, and why. So you have to ask yourself those 4 other questions besides the what, because honestly speaking, the 4 other questions are so important. The conceptual planning is so important, because imagine yourself just throwing sticky tack at the wall, right? Think of your roleplay as like a sticky tack. Obviously, you're gonna chuck it at the wall, right? Because it's sticky tack, and you're expecting it to stick, but like you know. But imagine if the sticky tack just decided to just slide down the wall, and you constantly have to do it over and over again. So eventually, the idea doesn't work much for like people, because it's pretty. If I had to compare it to an iceberg, it's pretty at the tippity top of that iceberg. You don't see the bottom, you don't see the deepest parts of the iceberg. You only see the very tippity top of what you see at the corner of from your vision. The conceptual planning essentially is the downwards part of that iceberg, right? So it's the deeper parts of it, your creativity essentially planned into your world, right? That's why I'm saying that plot and world building really coincide with each other, because if you have an incomplete world building, your plot is also affected, right? And also your characters are get affected, because how are you supposed to initiate a plot if your world is essentially half painted, right? I don't think we can finish something that is half baked. We can't eat a pie if the pie is simply just not cooked yet in the oven, or some of the ingredients are missing, right? So essentially that's how I think of conceptual planning when it comes to idea. Research is your friend. Always do your research, people. I know it's tiresome, but research has honestly helped me a lot when it came to my role plays, when it came to Afton Archives, when it came to HH, when it came to Creepypasta. I had to really do thorough research when it comes to that, because I wanted the role plays to feel more immersive. I wanted people to essentially feel like they were standing there with the characters, right? And that's the thing about research, right? Nobody likes doing it. I know you have to really dig deep and go to deep parts. You don't have to go to the deepest parts of the internet, but at least do your research. Don't assume that you know things. Really dangerous thing, especially when it comes to mental disorders, if you decide to write it into your NCRP. Honestly, I think it helps if you decide to do that, especially like medical stuff. Hello, how you doing? Is essentially, I like to think it helps when you decide to do like, for example, mental disorders, or trying to write someone with ADHD, or trying to write someone with, it's important to do your research, because you want to represent these characters, especially characters, by the way. If you want to really represent these characters in the best light possible, without offending anyone, without like misinterpreting or misconstruing the message, you really have to do your research, because what happens is the lack of research really shows actually when you make characters with mental disorders or physical disabilities and whatnot. So you really have to do your research. It's tiring, but honestly it's so worth it if you manage to represent topics, especially sensitive topics, correctly. I believe in terms of like one of my scenes, I had a character who was essentially a surgeon or a doctor, right? And I made it so that he knew CPR, or he knew, considering my background, because I also researched this, videos of accurate portrayals of CPR. I incorporated into a scene. Hey, thank you, Destiny. Hi, how you doing? Yeah, thank you so much. But yeah, like I had to incorporate it into the scene. Hang on. Sorry, like someone's messaging me. Give me a second, fellas. But yeah, where was I? Oh yeah. I had to, like I said, I had to look at videos, I had to research, and I had to review things in order to determine. Dang. Why you gotta... No, don't message me. I get really distracted because I think it's like studio stuff, and then I realize, oh no, it's just people saying hello. There are some people like talking to me. It's like, hey Yuki, how you doing? I'm just answering them. But yeah, so essentially that's, you have to do research. I believe this was and if you're curious, by the way, of like where this is, it's Creepypasta. I believe it's the scene with EJ, and how I wanted to portray him this resourceful surgeon doctor who knew how to do CPR. Like, it really shows that he really went to medical school. So I had to give EJ background of like how to do CPR properly. Like essentially, it's portrayed as well, like for blockbuster or the writing. Hi Annie, hello. Hi guys. Thank you for joining the stream. Hello Cass. Oh my God, Kat. Oh my God, Kat. Let me just tell you guys about Kat. I know this is a little off topic, but Kat is one of the good writers of good script writers of Berrywood Studios. They've written so many works, so many scenes, right? That honestly is the best. I like to say with the best. The scriptwriters, all of the scriptwriters, really know how to portray it. And honestly, that's also a thing that I believe I forgot to put that here. But essentially, if you have a team of scriptwriters, really to communicate your vision with your team. Really, really get them. Because honestly, you could write a Google Doc. You could write like the world building. You could write like everything you could possibly think of about the series. But honestly, if you show your scriptwriters, communicate with them, talk to them, show them like what exactly your vision is, so they can see it. You know what I mean? They can see it from their vision, like how exactly you want it to be. And honestly, sharing in terms of like my experience with Berrywood Studios, I really like talking to the script writers when it comes to my visions. I always love sharing these ideas, sharing with people in the Berrywood Studios about like how I want to see the episode, or how exactly do I picture the episodes further, and I try my best to describe like how it is to people in the studio, so that at least like if it's essentially like it's like looking through a telescope. You want them to see what you're seeing, right? You want your scriptwriters to be able to see what exactly do you see, because if you're you see an elephant with a little tutu, but the scriptwriters don't see that, they just see a tiny, let's say like a tiny rhino, then that's not really correct, right? That's not what you want. So it's better to communicate with them your ideas. Be passionate when you share stuff with your scriptwriters, if you have scriptwriters, right? Just so the message is clear, nobody misconstrues it, or nobody like mistakes it for something else. You know, I mean, it's portrayed as accurately as possible, and whatnot. And I love doing that with peeps at the Berrywood Studios, especially the scriptwriters. Y'all are amazing. Thank you so much for like writing for the episodes. Appreciation for you all. They're really good at what they do, like honestly. And so is everybody at like Berrywood Studios. It's just a quick little shout out, but like I really love the dedication that these guys do for the studio. It's so good. Okay. So anyways, let's go back to the topic. Like I said, guys, research, kind of a hassle to do lots of research, but honestly, the more that you can cover, the best that your character is portrayed to be. You can definitely do a lot of creative things by researching and whatnot. I recommend though, if you are, yeah, and I believe I made them cry. Says Kat, like as Kat says, we're fed a very detailed story. We just make it happen. Yeah, it's super detailed because I really like. I'm the type of writer that really likes detailing. So that's why I always do like research is always a thing that I really like to do when it comes to like the storylines like After Archives and whatnot. We did a whole like I believe one of the writers did so much research that they actually made a court scene. They made an actual court scene. In After Archives, I believe, yeah. So there you go. I made you cry with story. Please clarify that it's because of the story, not because I made you cry. Like, oh my god, it's gonna be misconstrued, please. But yeah, like I really like sharing my ideas with like peeps at Berrywood Studios because they're just as passionate about storytelling and story making. Yeah. Alright, let's continue before I get really emotional. I gotta get really emotional. Let's just continue. Okay, so yeah. So like I said, do research to portray your scene, your character, your world as accurately as you possibly can. Don't be lazy. You really have to do it, put some backbone into it if you really want your story to essentially not fade in the background or be misconstrued as something else, you know? Yeah. And okay, guys, and by the way, if your plan doesn't work, edit or scrap it entirely. This is a quote. This is. Thank you so much, Destiny. Thank you. Thank you so much, Destiny. Guys, stop it. I'm gonna cry. This is supposed to be a lesson. It's supposed to be a writing lesson. Not a crying you make Yuki cry session. But yeah, let's continue. So I do appreciate the comments though that they're putting down though, that y'all are putting down. So thank you so much. So okay. So essentially, anyways, if a plan doesn't work, edit or scrap it entirely. Any idea is possible. And it's not because of the idea itself being wrong. It's because of how, and I like to believe this is the case, and this is 100% true. It's all about the way that you execute the idea or the plan. It's about the execution. Because any idea, you can make it into a thing. You can make it a good thing. You can give the episode or the roleplay HD assets, super cool detailed builds of chisels and bits and whatnot. But if your story is like lacking, it's still bad. It's still bad. Not necessarily bad, but it's still, it comes out as okay. How I describe it is like a styrofoam ball, a styrofoam piece of bread. So it looks good outside, but when you split it open, you don't get bread, you get styrofoam. So it looks like that. So essentially what happens is your story looks like that. So no matter, even if you have the best assets and whatnot, as if your story is lacking, it shows in the output, it shows in the way that it's executed. So plan it, okay? And this is something that a dear mentor of mine has said to me, which I have taken to heart for script writing, is write without fear, edit without mercy. So don't get too attached to your ideas. I know your ideas may be good, and you really love your ideas. It's 100% true. Everybody's done it. I've done it. I still do it. But honestly, if we really want our stories to thrive, we want our stories to not fade into the background as one of the same usual gray-scaled anomalies in the background, you really have to take things out, not because it's not good enough, right? Yes, exactly, styrofoam. That's why I call it like styrofoam. If it's not that you're taking out the story because you think, oh, it sucks or something like that, it's not enough, it's not good enough. It's like, no, it's not that. It's you're taking it out because you think I could do better, or another idea could be better than this, to portray it a lot more greater, a lot more better. Because if you get too attached to an idea, what ends up happening is that you are resistant to change. You won't change it for the better when it could be better, right? And honestly, and this is 100% true, even for me, when I was still learning my ways of like how to do this. When I didn't get too attached to my ideas, the story would be affected. It really will. But once I decided to let go of that idea, I ended up with something better. I'll give you guys an example, and this is like a behind the scenes thing with me, and this is a funny thing. But did you know that the original concept of After Archives is that William was supposed to be yandere, and Michael should have had a twin brother named Terrence, who was evil. And that was my idea initially for After Archives. And essentially William just didn't care about Michael. He cared about Mia. He was like a complete yandere. Like, he didn't care about his son. He was like the actual game William, where he was like, I don't like you. You're not my son. But cares about his wife. And he was so two-faced about it too. So that's an example of getting too attached to it. Now, can you imagine that was the case? Yeah, it's different, right? That was my original idea for it. That was my original concept for it. And I initially I thought, oh, it's so good. I'm gonna use it. No, and then like I thought about it. I was like, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, it'll stay on like it's okay. Like this will stay definitely on YouTube. I will definitely like. Yeah, I was gonna give Hunter. And even Hunter was so different. Did you know the original concept for Hey City High was that it actually should have had two yanderes. Fiona and Hunter were supposed to be yandere and yandere. They were supposed to be yandere for each other. It was like a whole... yeah, it was a whole different like scenario with that. That was essentially the initial concept. I wanted to have like a Bonnie and Clyde thing happening with like Hunter and Fiona. Which would have been cool, but then I decided... I want to go something different, you know? I want like a male yandere and like a female like senpai or quote-unquote senpai like kind of thing. But she's not senpai. They're in the same grade. Anyways. Yeah, like can you imagine if like I was too attached to the ideas and that's actually what came out? The story wouldn't be interesting. It would have been like really fan fiction-y and really like cringe and whatnot. And then it wouldn't be as it is today. It wouldn't be like the thing. Can you imagine that? So don't get too attached to your ideas, people, because you will eventually create something better. Literally, you will literally make something better. It's always gonna happen. When you get too attached to ideas, even how much you love them, even how much you love the character, how much you love the plot, how much you love the world building, if it doesn't work with your storyline and it doesn't work out, like it causes it to become filler and whatnot, take it out. Literally, to rip it out like a take it off like a band-aid, rip it off, because eventually what's gonna happen, essentially what's gonna happen is you will eventually create something better. So because of the fact this is an example, because of the fact that I removed the ideas of William being yandere, I don't want that. Michael has a twin brother, I don't want that. Fiona and Hunter were supposed to be yandere, I don't want that. What eventually happened is that you get the Afton Archives that you know today, the Hey City High that you know today, and even the creepypastas that you know today. Right? So, yeah. So, eventually you get better ideas, which is great, you know what I mean? So, yeah. Write without fear, edit without mercy, people. So, yeah. Because, honestly, and truth be told, in terms of writing, if you really love your work, actually, for any form of art, if you really love your work, you will tear it apart like that. You will look at it and let yourself be your worst critic. Let yourself be the worst critic for your story. You should be the worst critic for your story. Because honestly, and the thing is, nobody else can do this for you. Nobody. Because the only person who can portray the story the best way possible is the person who wrote it themselves. Nobody else, despite the fact that you think, oh, they could do better because they have more skill. Skill is learned, right? Skill is learned. We in skin making and building and writing and everything. Skill is learned. Eventually, right? Your writing will get better. It will grow. It will, like a plant. It'll grow like a plant. It will improve. It will grow like a plant. A plant doesn't stay tiny forever, right? If you water it, you give it sunlight, you give it fertilizer, and you keep doing it, eventually it grows into a sunflower, like a very big sunflower. So think of it like that. Think of your writing like that. Be patient with your skill. Literally for everything. So yeah. Anyways, sometimes no matter how hard we plan it out, write an idea out, whether it be for a character, a scene, or a plot, it will either contradict or just not fit into the world at all, and that's okay. Don't be afraid to let it go and not get too attached. No matter how much you love the idea, sometimes letting go is the best. Yes, that is true. What? I see a roach in this room. Where is this roach? There's roach. There's a roach. Where'd you come from? I'm sorry, people, but there's an invasion. There was an invader. He's gone now. I don't know where he went. God, I hope that wasn't a spider. God, I'm thankful that's not a spider. That would be very terrible. Yeah, like be proud of your work, but don't be afraid as well to essentially like edit it. Don't be afraid to touch it. Like, don't be afraid to... That's your son? I'm so sorry. I sprayed him with lavender. He smells good now. It's lavender. I just have lavender scented like air freshener, so that's just what I sprayed on the guy. I don't know where he went. He smells good now, though. He smells good, I guess. God, is that wrong? I feel like that's wrong to say. I feel like that's wrong to say still. Jeez. No, don't quote that. He smells like lavender now. I don't like cockroaches, okay? They scare me. And I'm afraid to sleep every time like I know that there's a roach. Because it's, you know, it's yeah. He smells good. No, don't quote me. Saying he smells good now. That's so out of context too. That's your son. I sprayed you with lavender. So it's like, guys, that is so out of context. Please specify it's a roach. I'm saying it's a roach. Please, I sprayed nobody's actual son with lavender. Please. It was perfume. Yeah, sorry, it says an air freshener. It was a perfume. I sprayed him with like a perfume bottle. I'm scared now. Where did it go? I can't find it. You know what? It'll show up. It'll show up. Anyways. Hey, let's go back to the topic. Because I believe I still have to do a Hollow Knight stream after this. Okay. So, anyway, sometimes letting go is the best. Not doing so could become a problem leader and aka plot holes, inconsistencies, or story completely doesn't make sense. So really, you have to sacrifice. You have to sacrifice bits and pieces of the old plot to make way for better and new plot. Essentially, that's the way that it goes. Yeah. Okay. And if you know, because you know what they say, you love something, let it go. Let it go. No, I'm not singing that. I feel like I'll get demonetized on this stream. I'm not gonna do that. Okay. All right. And another thing, by the way, regarding. And the thing is, while you're creating stories, obviously, you know, we did our best. The best that we could. And the best that we could do. Like, with what we can. We researched. We did the plot planning. We did the triad of storytelling to the highest of hell. But, to the highest of heaven. But, the thing is, though, sometimes people will see, right? Will see something we don't. No, don't copyright now, please. I want people to see this stream. If it gets copyrighted, they'll block it, and then like I can't the people can't find it no more. So, jeez, I hope that doesn't happen. Anyways, so another thing, by the way, take it like a champ. So we can create our best stories to the best of our abilities, to the highest quality we could possibly imagine. But there are people who will look at it from a different angle and spot something wrong still, despite your best efforts. Take it like a champ. A champ. See, you see this? The champ right here. Take it like a champ. Okay? Receiving constructive criticism is oftentimes scary. It really is. Right? Because you don't want anything wrong with your story. But if something is wrong, you know, it's, yeah. Receiving is often scary. But if you love your craft, you take it like a champ, because constructive criticism is always helpful. Avoid ego tripping. No, Toby Fox. I love Undertale music. I use it for streams, please. If it gets DMCA'd, I'll actually die. No stream for Yuki. It's just gonna be mute stream of like just no background music. It's gonna be boring as heck. It's supposed to be relaxing, so I played home. Anyways. Yeah, receiving constructive criticism is really helpful. It's always helpful. And if there's somebody there that says that it's not, that's the lie. Now, there's a difference by the... Now, guys, you might be thinking, right? Because there's some people that probably don't like constructive criticism. And it's not because of the constructive criticism itself, but it's because of how it was given, right? It's about how it was given. There's a difference between saying... your story sucks, and so do you, compared to, alright, when I look at the story, I feel like there's lacking in some parts. Specifically here, I believe this character, like, why is this character doing this? Wouldn't it make sense if the character did this instead? Because in the previous part of the scene, they were doing this. So the first part sounds more insulting. The second part is more constructive. It's helpful. As soon as if it's helpful, it's constructive. That's why it's called constructive. It builds up. It builds up your thing. What the previous one is called destructive. It's destructive, so demolishing it, right? So because the thing is, nobody will learn how to write if you tell them, if you demotivate them by saying, "Oh, you're garbage. Your work is garbage. Your writing sucks," etc., etc. Let them know why you think it needs work. Not because it sucks, but because it needs work. Like, it can work, but it needs minor tweaks or major tweaks depending on like what you see, right? Never make it like opinionated. Never make it like a personal thing, like, because personal preference is not constructive criticism either. Because that's like saying, "Oh, you don't like strawberry because you don't like it," right? That's not constructive. Like, that's just a personal thing. So leave personal business out of constructive criticism. Constructive criticism should be objective. It should be based on what is on the paper or what is on the script, right? You always have to base it there. You never base it on your experiences or your feelings. You never base it on your own ego, right? You don't do that. So instead of tearing someone down, why don't we help them be better by building them up? Yeah. Wait, hang on a second. I'm just drinking water. Give me a second. Okay. I will... Okay, this isn't the place for it, but TLDR, AI was used, and supposedly this whole introduction to world building, or the triad of story building, was supposed to be done on there, but I decided to just do it on my channel instead. Like, seemed appropriate more, and I honestly didn't like the idea of like continuing and whatnot when that was happening. So yeah, I don't want to talk about it too much here. I've actually posted, I believe, my response already on Twitter, and they were very understanding of it, in terms of like why I decided not to continue my events. So really apologize. I know like people were really looking forward to the meet and greet. I've been told a lot about like people looking forward to my meet and greets, but like I just couldn't do it because it would seem like I'm disrespecting the craft of my peeps in Bearwood Studios, because some of them are artists. I'm an artist. Like I do minor drawings for funsies. So and art should be, in my thing, art should be made by a human, never AI. I don't believe in that. Be proud to be a try-hard at what you love to do. Yeah, no. Yeah. Essentially, yeah. Because, like, honestly... Wait, hang on, sorry. Somebody's texting me again. Hang on. There will be a little bit pauses sometimes. Sorry, I'm also drinking water so I don't, like, hurt my throat as well. Give me a second. Picked up a pencil. Okay, well, let's stop talking about that now though, because I wanna not talk about it in the same stream as like I'm supposed to be teaching this, because I want to keep it separate. I already sent my response in Twitter and I want to leave it there, you know. I want people to enjoy like learning about this, because I want to share what I know or what I've learned writing MCRPs for like I believe I started in 2019. My earliest MCRP was Shadow Haze High, and if you can see that old roleplay, it was garbage. I'll tell you right now, it's actually a good example of Take It Like a Champ. So, in the earliest days of 2020 is the days of Yuki Blaze at fanfiction days. Yeah. What ended up happening is I created a roleplay called Shadow Haze High, which is Haze City High's predecessor. Actually, it's Haze City High's predecessor or ancestor. Sorry. And it was bad. It was bad. Okay, I will state why. And by the way, this is also a lesson for peeps. So I will, I will essentially state why, like I'm saying this. Hey City High was pretty stereotypical. The plot was cliche. The main character, which was the girl that I played, was very Mary Sue. Like everything just seemed to work out. The characters weren't fleshed out. She always got what she wanted. There was no really essence of there was no stakes. There we go. There was no stakes of like losing their beloved, because it always just seemed to work out, and you didn't have to worry about like her losing him or something, because it just worked out eventually, you know what I mean? In Hey City High, it's remedied, right? The main character is no longer a girl. First of all, a girl yandere. It's a boy yandere now. And I know like some people are like a little bit worried about boy yanderes, because honestly, it's just a thing where if you look at it, the girl version, I think it's a rule. There's a rule about it, what the gender swap thing. Okay, Destiny. Bye. Hey. Yeah, no, I hope this will help you actually, because I'm really hoping it does help people, because this is how I essentially write MCRPs for Bearwood Studios. So yeah. But yeah, like essentially what happened is I learned from that, right? I learned from the constructive criticism that was given to me that the roleplay was exactly that. It was very stereotypical. Like it's the same thing that you see in the background of like every other creator, just faded into the background. And the only thing that I guess was different about it is that it was kind of funny, like the voice acting and whatnot, because it was just a few friends just trying to do their own thing kind of deal. But now that there's a studio now, we have more people who know better, who are better, and can do better. I had to also do better. So, I adapted, I learned from everything, and now Haze City High became the new Shadow Haze High, essentially. Yeah, like Shadow Haze High is Haze City High's ancestor, right? It's its mother, right? It's its prototype. Yeah, there we go. It's its prototype, and Haze City High is the final product. So now we have a male yandere who is a hitman kid, Juju. Yeah, as you can tell from the storyline one. I'm trying not to spoil accidentally, because then my studio will... I'll be hunted by peeps, by HR. Actually, not HR, by the script writers. They'll be like, okay, no! Like, they'll be like, I'll just have that in the background. Yeah, so yeah, like, honestly, constructive criticism is always helpful. It really is. Oh yeah, see, here we go. Difference between constructive criticism and simple personal preference. Constructive criticism is usually giving out to be helpful. If it makes you feel bad in a different way, feel free to not take it. Though it's important to know the difference. Like I said, you gotta know the difference between constructive criticism and just simple personal preference, that they just hate it because they don't like it, kind of deal. You can tell because you don't get anything out of it, you know what I mean, in terms of like what to do next. It never answers what to do next when it's a simple personal preference. Because like if they say, oh, it sucks, I don't like it because it's boring, it's this, you don't get anything out of it's boring. Okay, how is it boring? Or that it sucks. Okay, why does it suck? You don't get anything out of it. It's just insulting. But when somebody tells you it seems a little bland because it's a repetitive move on this character. It's always a constant thing. They never fail. There's never changes. And it always seems to just go their way. I think it would benefit your story if, let's say, your character, for example, loses this time of round, right? Because not everybody always wins. Not even the villains. The villains, the heroes, even don't win all the time. You know, sometimes they fail, which I like. Which I like that I presented it in Hey City High, that the relationship. And I'm gonna be honest, fellas, right? As much as I know y'all's like Fiona and Hunter, they're actually pretty toxic for each other. They're bad for each other. They're actually bad. They're cute together, but they're very bad for each other. They enable each other's toxic personality traits, and it's it's bad. It's really bad. I hope people. That's the point. That's actually the point of Hey City High. It's supposed to show you that. It's supposed to show you the toxicity. You're supposed to, you like them together, cool, but they're not really good for each other. Because Hunter enables Fiona's lovesick tendencies, and Fiona also does the same with him. So it's not correct. You know, it's not right. They're supposed to be actually a very good representation of a toxic couple. Yeah, facts. That's the facts, people. People think that Fiona and Hunter are the best, most wholesome, most positive royal couple juju thing. No, it's not. They're actually pretty toxic, and I made them to be that way. See, intention is also important, by the way. You really have to... this is something I forgot to put in here, but intention is also important. You can write a character that's essentially... Okay, here's the difference between writing a stereotypical blonde bully, right? Because this is the usual norm. I see it in like a lot of role plays where they make like bully, and then like they're just the blonde chick that's just mean, like, oh my god, Stacy, why are you such a bitch? Like you just hear that, and like, okay, so what's the difference? If I, for example, roleplay A has this character, roleplay B has this character. Let's say that. But the difference, roleplay A really writes it that the character is supposed to be that hateable. You're supposed to hate them. You're supposed to be like, I don't like Stacy. Stacy's mean. And then there's roleplay B that writes the character as if she's supposed to be a redeemable bully, but then does shit like stuff Noelle into the locker and something like that, or cut her hair off. Like, or you know, burn her bicycle in the parking lot. That is not. And then you tell the people, oh yeah, she's supposed to be this redeemable bully character. It's like, no, that's not how you do that. It's like, no, that's not the intention. Doesn't match with the character. So it's really important that you really think about, when you think about characters, you think about intention. To really think about what is intended for this character. If they're supposed to act that way because you wrote them that way, good. Keep doing it. People will eventually see that. People will eventually, as the series goes on, because they will get to know the character more. Eventually they'll see, this is supposed to be the stereotypical blonde bully. Like that's the point. She's supposed to be like that. You're supposed to hate her. I already hate her. Cool. And then you look at roleplay B and then you're like, what? You mean to tell me they're supposed to be redeemable? Where's the redeeming part? They've done nothing but be horrible. They're horrible to the heroine A. They're horrible to like the main protagonist. It's the main MC. Like it's like, sorry, the MC. It's terrible. What's redeemable about this? So see, it comes out as like, you know, like people are confused and then they end up hating the writer, not the character. There's a difference between hating the writer because they wrote the character and hating the character because they're the character. You want the hating the character because they're the character, right? Because they're villains. They're supposed to be antagonists. There's always an antagonist to a protagonist. There's never a story where just purely protagonists. That's not a thing. Because where there is good, there's evil. There's light, there's darkness. It's a balance thing. You can't, because if you just make it like the good guys, what are the good guys supposed to do? If you make it just the bad guys, what are the bad guys supposed to do? I do know that there is a way that you can make it interesting where you challenge their morals, you can challenge the way that their belief system, you challenge essentially how they see the world, and then you change them to a certain thing. Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, like intention, like I said, intention is very clear. It really is. Intention is very much needed when you write characters, and honestly, people really should, and I hope that this whole advice, this whole thing, actually does teach you, teach you guys, like, will really teach you like how to essentially craft a role play. This is just episode 1, by the way. I'm thinking of like doing this as like a series. I don't know if people will actually like look at it, but if you do like want me to cover a topic, let me know. Like, let me know in the comment of this stream. Let me know about like what you want me to tackle next. I might make it a series if people like it so much. So yeah, I might make it so if you want me to tackle like anything else, just feel free to let me know. Okay, so since we're at the end of we are at the end of the lesson, so I'm just gonna wait and like see if people have questions for me. So we'll treat this as like an actual class. So yeah, do people have questions? If people do have questions, you can write it in the live chat. Oh, and by the way, guys, I also have Ko-Fi. So if you want to support me, it's not needed, but it's appreciated. My Ko-Fi is, I believe it's attached to my stream right now. I don't know if it's there. It's probably not, because I just noticed that it's blocked by... There we go. There we go. Now you can see it. Dang it, why? It was blocked the whole time. I didn't even notice that. That's terrible. It's really terrible. There you go. You can see the Ko-Fi thing now. So support me in Ko-Fi if you really like. If you really wanna support me and whatnot. I believe on there it's not updated, but I have a goal of like trying to get a new PC. But at this point, like any amount helps. I'll be honest. Nothing too big. It's just I'm too broke. So the extra money like actually helps as well. But yeah, that you guys don't have to. I'm just really enjoying that I'm sharing this with you guys. So yeah. What else can I tackle as like an extra thing for this? Oh yeah, by the way, speaking okay, here's an extra thing. Here's an extra tidbit. When you write characters, obviously we know the difference between a protagonist and antagonist, right? The protagonist is the main heroine, the person who saves the day, the person who the story is about, the good guy, the underdog, the whatever. The antagonist is the guy that's opposing the protagonist, the villain, the etc. Yada yada yada. But what is the similarities between the two of them? I'm gonna tell you, they're human. That's the similarities, or what's the same about them. What's similar about them? What's the same about them? Is that they're both human. So while you have the main protagonist, you also have the antagonist who is just as human as the protagonist. And honestly, if they both clash in terms of ideals, and I've seen so many stories where they make the protagonist essentially, I've seen stories, by the way, where the protagonist is essentially challenging the morals of the antagonist, and the antagonist is challenging the morals of the protagonist. And I think it's an interesting dynamic, where essentially they will see eye to eye, or the famous plot line of they come from the same background or the same origin story, but they had different views of it. That's why they went through different paths of it, and I think that's interesting. It's interesting. Somebody do that, please. Somebody do that as a role play. I'm already giving ideas. But yeah, so if you know how to do it, I'll be honest, guys, if you know how to do the Triad of storytelling, it'll definitely help you with your own role plays. 100%. I've used it for how many times now, for every role play series that I have done, and it never fails. It never fails. Yeah. And honestly, I think the most interesting storylines are the ones that have heart in it. So the characters are thought out, the plot is well thought out and complete, and world building is just as immersive or just as complete as everything else. So yeah. Well, oh cool. Well, I just finished this segment, and since nobody has any questions for Teacher Yuki, Teacher Blueberry, I'm gonna end the stream here and switch and end the stream. I'm gonna start up a new stream for the Hollow Knight one. I hope you guys join me on that one where we make adventures with Little Ghost. I'ma call him that. His name is Little Ghost now. I know he's called Little Knight or the Knight, but I like calling him Ghost. I don't know what it is. He just looks like a ghost to me. Anyway, so yeah, that's the end of the stream for part 1 of the stream. So I will be switching to part 2, or I'll be switching to the Hollow Knight stream in a bit. So I will end the stream now, guys, and in a while when I'll open like Hollow Knight and then like prepare. Okay, give me about 10 minutes, and I will see you there. So, anyways, this is your favorite Blueberry signing off. Hope you enjoy the the stream, me teaching you guys the Triad of Storytelling, and hope to see you guys soon in about 10 minutes with Little Ghost. Bye!